Hello. This is Dr. Ricardo. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. This is Paperwave. Welcome to the Cannabis Science Podcast.
So we've been messing around this morning with some cool music Kemet's been playing on his, what do you call that thing?
It is a pocket operator made by the Swedish company Teenage Engineering.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed. That's pretty cool. It's like two AAA batteries and the world is at your fingertips.
You can make beeps, you can make boops. Samples sounds from offices of the 80s. Fax machines and stuff.
There's even a Rick and Morty one apparently.
Yeah, there is. It's a wild company.
So Kemet.
Yes.
So really welcome to the Cannabis Science Podcast.
Oh, thank you. It's so good to be here, as always.
And Maka, how are you doing?
Good.
Finally back from your vacation. Well, not vacation. your very hard workcation in Texas.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere, Texas.
Yeehaw.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting because in this world that we're living in now, there's a lot of talk about cannabis, blah, 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 cannabis this, cannabis that, edibles, smoked, vaporized, concentrates. But, there's something that is actually becoming a very big industry.
Ooh.
And it's not, the market isn't us. And I'll go into detail as to why this is. But do you know what sort of products we haven't talked about yet in the show?
Okay, we've talked about extracts, talked about edibles, talked about flour. Is it cannabis Slurpees?
Oh man, that'd be interesting. I think
that's not the topic.
That's
today.
the next episode. No, cannabis beverages. Actually, very interesting how they make them, but how they can make them. But today's episode, we're going to be talking about cannabis-infused topicals.
Oh, like the salves and stuff, right?
The salves, oils, the bars, all sorts of different products. In fact, like Forbes suggests that if more countries allowed these products, including the US, this could become the next multi-billion-dollar sector of the cannabis industry.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Because these sort of products are essentially in line with the prestige skincare and cosmetic brands, right? In Canada, for example, analysts like Deloitte say that the industry could be like that section of the industry could be like $174 million like right now,
Wow, that's a lot of weed on your face.
It's a lot of weed on everywhere in your body. A cannabis all over your body, but
everywhere. Everywhere.
But so right now, though, the main people that are exploiting this, who's the main country exploiting this trend?
China.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, am I close on the map?
No.
Okay.
No. More. Let's say, Monsieur, Madame.
France.
Yes.
What?
Yes, the French are really jumping on board this. They obviously, are, I would say, some of the world leaders with regards to cosmetic and skin product brands. You kind of think about the French when you think about perfumes, colognes, and all these different products. And they are really jumping on board this. And I had no idea about this until I was actually speaking to a colleague, actually, not even a colleague, like somebody who we're trying to work with. And she runs a company that's producing some incredibly high quality, I would say, pharmaceutical grade cannabinoids.
Ooh.
And one of their main uses for these cannabinoids is in the cosmetics industry.
Wow. Are these active cosmetics? Are you getting stoned through your face? Or
So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this because
I know. I'm going to say that later.
Because the thing is, right, that there's this view, and I'm not even sure how to explore this idea really, because the thing is that you do absorb the cannabinoids, but whether or not they get you high is another thing altogether. And how much of them do you absorb is another thing altogether as well. So with regards to cannabis topicals, it's not just going to be, we're gonna take a small deviation it'll primarily be like salves and that sort of stuff, but we're going to take a small deviation into the world of transdermal patches.
Oh, like nicotine, but it's THC?
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Wow. Okay, I'm into this.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's really take things back. Way back. So some people think, the creation of cannabis salves and skincare products is a new thing. It's not. As old as cannabis, as long as humans have been around cannabis, it seems like we've used some sort of topical cannabis product. In fact, although it likely predates written documentation about it, which documentation of this sort of uses are date back to like about 2000 BCE in ancient China on the first documented pharmacopoeia, suggests that, in fact, cannabis, a ground cannabis and animal fat preparation that's put over an open wound or severe burns could actually improve healing and reduce pain.
Wow, it's crazy that you say that, because fun little fact, I don't know, you can't see this scar at home, but you can see that scar right there. I rubbed so much cannabis salve on that, and in less than a year with 24 stitches, it just like completely healed up.
There's some interesting work in this space, and from various different groups exploring this. There could be something there. And again, these topical cannabis applications likely spread to other, although, documented in ancient China, likely spread to other Asian societies and wherever really cannabis went, or wherever humans went, cannabis went. And this would likely extend to Asia Minor and Europe, where these uses likely continued. Although really, it's not the thing that's been the most highlighted with regards to cannabis use, of course. We consider cannabis mainly an edible product, or cannabis preparations mainly as edible products or smoked and inhaled products. Topical cannabis is definitely not a new thing.
It's ancient.
It's pretty old, yeah. So what exactly is a cannabis-infused topical? These are ointments or salves made from infusing cannabis flower or cannabinoids into some, currently, like we're talking about modern topicals, into some sort of coconut or olive oil like preparation, right? And this includes using CBD or THC or both, as well as olive oils. As well as like other natural products such as herbs, essential oils, and other commonly used cosmetic ingredients. Right?
Oh, wow. Imagine like argan oil for my hair, and my hair is just like really high.
And actually a small tangent, which when you shampoo your hair, you condition your hair, all that stuff that you read on the label, that penetrates your skin. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's why I've switched my products. I like pretty much just use a certain thing.
So whatever it is that you don't want to get inside you, try to avoid that in your skincare products, because you will absorb that.
Yeah, it seems like all day we're just rubbing chemicals all over ourselves.
All day.
Yeah,
all day.
Not very good.
It's, we'll see how far this goes. We'll see how far this goes, right? But in general, though, when you create a cannabis salve or a cannabis topical preparation, it's generally considered safe. A lot of this stuff has been tested. We know that what's used, it's been tested in animals. That's why there's no more animal testing in that regard. It says no animal testing is because it's already been done.
Oh yeah, we did that a long time ago in the 50s. We killed a lot of monkeys.
Terrible stuff. Not just the monkeys. Poor monkeys.
We don't support that.
Yeah, we definitely don't support that here. There's no practical the issue. So the issue here though is, and I'm going to say it right, up front from the beginning of the program, is that there is really no practical scientific data to support the idea that cannabis-infused topical creams are more effective than any other pain relievers such as Tiger Balm, Bengay, Icy Hot, and these sort of things. The evidence is sparse, and it's really just marketing for now.
That's funny. I used Tiger Balm and cannabis on my hand. Now I don't know which one did it. Damn it.
But
no.
That I like to say that just out front, but there is a lot of potential here. And just because there hasn't been this, solid scientific foundation to prove the use of these products, doesn't mean that some of these preparations can't work for certain conditions, skin conditions, and especially with regards to, dermatology, like actual, helping people heal some difficult to deal with conditions that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Regardless, though, we mentioned that we aren't the market for these products.
No, not mainly. So I'm not going to be rubbing this all over my body every day.
So who are the main users of these sort of products?
It's the elderly.
Yeah, man. Actually, I don't like to use the term elderly.
It is the...
It's the...
well-aged.
Forever young. It's in Puerto Rico, it's like, I remember... and my father always highlighted this for me, is that For example, women, you never call women old.
Oh.
Mexicans and my old lady, blah, blah. No. Puerto Rico, we never call women old. She's always young.
That's an interesting attitude. That's good. I see what you're saying there.
So the main market here is between females between the ages of 55 to 75 years young. All right.
Wow.
And they spend about $23 per month. The ones that do consume these sort of products, they use these sort of products, spend about $23 per month on them on average. And that's not to say that other demographics don't use them, but that's the main market right now, for various reasons, right? This is a group that really places importance on safety, right? So with regards to...
Is it not too late at that point?
No, I mean, it's never too late.
You can always look beautiful.
It's never too late.
It's not about look beautiful. You should pay attention to be healthy all your life,
but
not just at 55.
But you know how generally as we get older, we do tend to, think about these things more just because it's natural. It's human nature.
I'm getting droopy.
Yeah, I mean, it's, oh my God. So in the grand scheme of things, in terms of cannabis products, topicals are generally, I would say much safer alternative to inhaled or oral cannabis products for various reasons, right? Which we'll get into in a little bit, but you really aren't going to get these psychotropic effects, right? You may, if you want the benefits of cannabis, there's this debate whether or not topical cannabis products will provide it. They could or could not, but you're generally not going to get, if you're not going to get the beneficial, in air quotes, high of cannabis, you're likely not going to get the side effects, adverse effects of cannabis, right?
That makes sense. If you're not in the clouds, you can't crash down.
Exactly. And again, we'll cover this later on, the gender differences between cannabis effects, but there is a significant gender difference in effects due to cannabis.
Really?
Yes, especially due to THC. Yes, there is.
My guy's like nodding in the head.
Yes, there is. Cannabis researchers, ask any legitimate cannabis researcher, they will talk. I mean, I can talk about a few studies that cover this. Women tend to tolerate cannabis much less than men, especially THC. That's a fact.
Really?
That's a fact. Yes, that is a fact.
But it's not related with the weight.
No.
Because in general,
it has to do with the biochemistry of our brains. It's just there are significant differences in terms of pharmacological profiles of drugs. Even the same exact drugs sometimes behave completely different. Look at Ambien. Look, Google, whoever's listening to this, just Google Ambien, men versus women. Just Google it and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Interesting.
All right.
That being said, I've met some ladies that can outsmoke me the fucking under the table. So,
I'm not saying that that's not a possibility. Of course, 100%. But overall, there are some differences in pharmacokinetic pathways and properties of different compounds in men versus women. So, regardless, though, what does the science say about topical cannabis products? Cannabinoids can definitely be absorbed through the skin and mucosal tissue. So it would suffice.
Where is the mucosal tissue, just for those who may not?
So mucosal tissue is like the insides of your mouth, nose, vagina, anus.
Oh, so anywhere where it's like wet and sticky.
Exactly. Anywhere where it's wet and sticky. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, just to clarify. That's a lot of spots, actually.
Thanks, Kemet. I'm not sure I have to put this episode as
No, it's right. Why, we are open to all this.
Yes. No, we're nothing wrong with that. Yes, we're humans. The human body is a magical creation.
It's kind of gross.
It's a little something, whatever. It's all perspective. It's all perspective. So topical creams, patches, vaginal sprays, and rectal suppositories are definitely sometimes employed and used as a form of administering THC. It's a viable form of administering THC. Now, pain patients currently use topical forms as transdermal patches and creams for different things. And they use them. Sometimes, and we'll cover this in a little bit again in this later section of this podcast. But, again, the placebo effect is very real. It does not mean that it's not working. But, sometimes you can, if you try and look for relief, use whatever is available to you that you think might help you and it's safe, right? So, thus, while the use of cannabis for the treatment of pain is supported by well-controlled clinical trials, in terms of inhaled cannabis and oral cannabis, little is actually known about the efficacy dose, routes of administration with regards to topical cannabis and the side effects as well to commercially available cannabis topical products.
You're listening to the Cannabis Science Podcast.
And it's just important to begin to answer this because, given the ubiquity of different cannabis products, we really should know these questions. We should have answers.
Yeah, I want to know if it's going to do something.
So I actually dug in I went a little bit deeper, right? Because there was a lot of the information that was available said, there's very little information. I mean, besides usage stats and all that stuff about topical cannabis. So I went a little bit deeper and I found a few very interesting papers that cover the beneficial effects, for example, of different cannabinoid-infused topical products, right? The first one I'm going to talk about is this. It's really a case study that mothers with children that had this is a difficult word to actually say, epidermolysis bullosa.
Epidermolysis bullosa.
Yeah.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
or EB.
Okay, I like that better.
It is a group. It's a congenital blistering skin condition that affects the skin mucosa of the patient, and that's generally inherited by birth defects and these anchoring proteins between the epidermis and the dermis, and so you have this very fragile skin.
And very dry too.
Not that it's very dry, but that it's fragile. It's predisposes the patients to what's called bullae or blisters and scars and minor trauma. Like the skin is very easy
that's sad.
to damage, right? And as a child, of course, it's like you're doing tons of stuff. You don't know what's happening, and you have a really high level of injuries, skin injuries. And not only that, but it's also very painful. So anything that could help these patients, obviously, a mom would try. And so a lot of these, there's been it seems like a few families or particularly mothers who have been exploring the use of CBD-infused topicals. We know that CBD is increasingly popular for a bunch of different conditions. And so they were like, well, if it's anti-inflammatory, if it's suggested to be anti-inflammatory and all these other things, let's try to give it to our children and see what happens, right? So what the physicians who were doing this case report found was that it did seem, at least observationally, that the patients had a significant reduction in terms of like itching, pain, less blisters, less generally like skin peeling, and increased wound healing in patients that had this condition.
Wow, it's like Wolverine right now.
And again, N of 3, obviously it's a small group, but it seemed definitely to warrant further investigation. Now, one patient, I think the older patient, which is 10 years old, was using opioids to manage the condition because, again, it's painful.
10-year-old, wow.
And apparently that patient was able to be weaned off completely of the opioids. So that's a plus.
That's pretty good.
That's definitely a plus. So there's other things that are involved in the cannabis. So it's not just cannabinoids from cannabis that seem to be beneficial, right? The seeds and other constituents found in the cannabis plant also seem to be beneficial. For example, the fatty acids contained in the cannabis seeds are some of them are considered to have therapeutic effects.
Really?
Such as G-linoleic acid. Topicals with this, are recommended for eczema and psoriasis, and then for oral use in atherosclerosis, osteoporosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and other inflammatory diseases. We've heard about the omega-3 and omega-6 oils, how they could benefit you. And there is some, now for heart health, that may not be so much the case, but for skin health and other conditions, that actually may be viable. So there's a study done in Pakistan where they in fact created a 3% cannabis seed extract cream that was tested in a very small group of patients that had very serious acne.
Okay.
So, and this is acne that was like inflammatory acne, like on their faces, Luckily, I mean, I've had friends that have had acne like this, that they get serious, like, what's it called? Like skin sebum, and erythema, like redness and just like these eruptions. And it can be painful, obviously, right? So they were testing, this group was, now, this is not the best designed study, right? But what they saw was definitely that this 3% cannabis seed cream, caused significantly less of these acne side effects or observable effects of the acne than the control. The control being the base that was used to do the extraction of the seed, seed extract, right? Okay. So it's not the best control, right? I would have probably used like a conventional treatment, but they did definitely see a huge improvement versus just also nothing.
Okay.
So again, this warrants further investigation, but it does raise some questions, right, about the validity of topical cannabis for these skin conditions.
Oh man, I'm waiting for like Phoenix tear face masks now. People like pull them out those little sheets, and it's like your face is covered in Phoenix tears.
Oh my god, that'd be nuts. So now we're gonna take a little bit of a detour, right, and we're gonna go into transdermal cannabis delivery methods. And again, another way to administer cannabinoids and cannabis is through the skin, right? The idea being that these transdermal products are well established. You can deliver opioids and nicotine, for example, transdermally. So why not cannabinoids?
Sounds amazing.
Right? Especially because cannabinoids are highly lipophilic, which means they're very fat soluble. And the skin being like this fat barrier, you would think that, cannabinoids can easily penetrate. Now, they've been developing these different systems to, have these delivery as stable and, extended over a period of time, and the concentration levels remain like stable and the bloodstream and all that stuff. And it's still in development, but there have been a few patents that have been given to companies that are producing these sort of products. So I think pretty soon we're going to have likely a workable product.
Oh, wow.
Where you can, put a patch and then likely, hopefully it is, you get systemic absorption of these cannabinoids without central effects. So what that means is that you're not going to get high, hopefully, or not too high, but you get the beneficial effects of the cannabinoids.
So I can't get like a 300 milligram patch that will slow release over like 12 hours. That would just be great. So I don't need to smoke so many joints.
The thing is, so far, that seems to be the case. So the pros of topical cannabis, and this is a pro depending upon the person you ask, right?
For sure.
It doesn't get you high.
Okay. But there's therapeutic effect.
There seems to be potentially a therapeutic effect, especially we're talking about localized, wound healing, skin conditions, etc. And again, the other thing is that it's safe. It seems to be very safe. You're not going to get overdoses of cannabinoids. Now, the cons of topical cannabis products is that they generally only penetrate about 1 centimeter into the skin. And this is an issue because, a lot of muscle pain and aches is usually in a location much deeper than that. So the effects are likely minimal beyond the skin surface. To make topicals at home and even industrially requires much higher amounts of dried cannabis and cannabinoids than those used for inhalation or oral consumption. And the truth is that despite historical uses, the actual benefits of dermatologically applied cannabis is still not fully explored. So it's still kind of up in the air, like what research needed? Much more research needed. And lastly, and this is one that I actually suffer from, there is something called allergic contact dermatitis that occurs. And this is not usually occurs through the salves, although there's a small subset of people that are severely allergic to the cannabinoids themselves. But the dried flowers, in some people, again, like myself, you come in contact with the dried flowers on the skin, you start getting hives, you get itchy. Yes.
So like if you smoke a joint, it can't like touch your lips?
No, I mean like I avoid, for example, like if somebody's grinding cannabis, being around that like cannabis dust, I avoid, like, for example, if I'm in between plants, I try to have long sleeves.
So you can't even roll your own joints?
I can.
But you're going to like break out in hives.
With gloves.
I don't.
Like Michael Jackson?
Well, I mean, I try to be careful, right? It's not like, it's generally not like super intense. I mean, again, over long exposures, yes. But some people have more or less this allergic reaction than others. And again, it's not a fun thing. It's not a fun
that
thing.
doesn't sound fun.
No.
And it's not just, I mean, honestly, for me, it's not just cannabis. It's a bunch of other things like different pollens and so on. That's why
okay.
I've been allergic to different things, especially in Canada, apparently.
All the plants want to get you.
They all want to kill me. But yeah, no, I gotta be careful when I'm exposed to cannabis, like dry cannabis flowers.
Wow.
Again, it's not something that is super serious, but some people it could be very uncomfortable, and then some people do have allergic reactions to cannabinoids themselves. So you got to be careful. Right now, they're really a huge future for cannabis topicals because they're being explored for a bunch of different conditions. The main ones being, for example, eczematous eruptions. What the heck does that mean? That's eczema.
Okay, yeah.
It's an inflammatory condition of the skin characterized by redness, itching, and oozing vesicular lesions, which become scaly, crusted, and hardened. And it seems they're exploring topical cannabis, to help deal with that, reduce that, occurrence, prevalence, and the effects of that. Then they have what's called cholestatic pruritus. So that's when you have liver disease due to various conditions, you can get very, 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 very itchy skin, right? And this is due to a bunch of different things, including drug-induced interactions, right? So cannabis creams are being explored for these purposes. And then, like we had talked about earlier, wound healing. So healing burns, serious scarring, etc. Cannabis could potentially be useful for that. And it's, again, it has a historical use. And then skin cancer. Obviously, we're talking a lot about cannabis and cancer, and they're exploring, the use of topical cannabinoids to treat melanomas.
That's powerful. Right? Wow.
So, should you try it? Should you try topical cannabis products?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
That's the take-home message here. Why not? There isn't a lot of data suggests that it's bad for you. There's not a lot of data suggesting that it's good for you, but there's not a lot of data suggesting that it could harm you anyway. So if you're not allergic to cannabinoids anyway, just do it. Right now, like the product, it may be a good product, may smell good, may give you what you want in terms of, a placebo effect. Because again, the placebo effect is very real.
Oh, like you're getting stoned. Like I'm around the weed, so I must be a bit high.
Well, the consensus is, again, like scientific consensus is that 33% of people have this placebo effect. So if you believe you're getting this beneficial properties, heck, why not? Right?
Wow. I'm just going to be a fool and think everything helps me.
And interestingly too, right?
It's working.
So the other thing is that a lot of these cannabis creams and cannabinoid-infused products have other stuff like menthol, camphor, capsaicin, which are actually topical pain relievers in themselves. So I'm not saying that could potentiate the cannabinoid properties, but there would be also a beneficial effect to them. So, you don't really risk anything in trying. That's really a short answer is give it a shot. If you like it, it could benefit you. I mean, there's little to no risk at all, honestly, in trying it out, other than wasting your money, of course. and in fact, you may get some relief from that. So heck, why not?
I'm going to go home and do a cannabis bath bomb tonight. Wow.
So again, like I think topicals is one thing that we'll begin to add more information towards as the research begins to come in. It's still really a nascent part of the industry. Hasn't been that much explored, just because it's not the easiest of the routes of administration to explore, honestly.
Yeah, it seems like it's not the most bang for your buck if you're just looking for the euphoric effect.
Yeah. So I think with that, we're gonna end the show. I like to end actually. We're gonna add in a little bit some of Kemet's music.
Why not right now? Can we do it right now?
Well,
live.
Well,
beep, beep, beep,
well, we're
beep,
gonna
boop.
do it right now.
Beep, 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 beep,
right
boop,
now.
Beep, beep, boop.
This is Cannabis Science, made simple.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cannabis Science Podcast. If you enjoyed this program and want to learn more, you can find additional information and resources at cannabisconciencia.org. Or you can find other shows wherever you get your favorite podcasts. This was recorded with the generous support of Vancouver Co-op Radio, 100.5 FM, CFRO. Join us today and become part of the Vancouver Co-op Radio family. Please tune in next time to another episode of Cannabis Science Podcast. Thank you for listening.